how do you make a crucial decision between two different options for a big purchase in your life, like a cell phone or a computer or a car? Well, let's take that and multiply it by, 5, 10, maybe 100. Because what do you do when it's the biggest financial decision of your life, like buying a new home or buying a resale home? Well, fear not, we have the answers in today's show. It's decision time. Let's do it.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What is up, my How to Buy a Homies? I'm your host, David Sidoni, and I've been dropping this education first-time homebuyer knowledge fest into your ear holes since 2019. And every year, I've updated you on the latest insider knowledge on this great debate, new home versus a resale home. What is best for first-time homebuyers? Now, if you had an opportunity to listen to the last episode, the one before this one, I was crazy pumped up. I was so excited to get in the studio because there is critical data happening for the end of 2025 in the new home market it's truly a game changer. And everyone's saying that right now. This is for real. A game changer for first-time homebuyers. So if it's September, October, November, December, and you're listening to this in 2025, who knows? Maybe it kept going to the beginning of 2026. Be sure to check that one out. Little warning, I was pretty pumped up. But if you can handle my crazy, cringy enthusiasm, this one's a must listen. So you can hear about the big shift that happened the second half of 2025 in the new construction market, turning into an incredibly heavy buyer's market. But this episode today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the basics, the great debate, and I'll give you all the best tools, tricks, and techniques that I've learned over 20 years of coaching first-time homebuyers when they're thinking, what do I do? New or resale? Which one's better for me and why? So we're going to dive into it here, get you all the right information, and also keep you protected from making any mistakes. Now, the question of one or the other, it doesn't have a definitive black or white correct answer. Like everything that I talk about when it comes to buying your first home, I truly wish I could just pick a side with every single issue and say, based on my experience, everyone should choose option A over option B for the best deal. But the real answer to every question is it's never that simple. So let's get into the education and information to help you make the best choice for you when you bring all your variables into the equation. We're going to start with the new build homes. When you're comparing new versus resale, there are several crucial elements, with budget and timing being two of the biggest. Here are a few things to consider when you're looking at all the options, but those two especially for new construction homes, to figure out if they're right for you. New construction homes come with some obviously new, unique perks. You might get energy efficiency. There's definitely going to be no worn down parts that are going to be in need of repair quickly. And plus, a lot of times you can customize the home before it's built, which means you're getting a home exactly the way you want, not someone else's remodeling that you kind of like. But on the budgeting side, this means that if you have really specific taste, you have to have budgeted for those upgrades. You can have all the features you want the day you move in as long as you've got the budget for that. But the cool thing is, if you plan it out right, there's no remodeling after you move in. So for people who aren't handy or just really aren't into doing home renovation products, a new home could be a great option for you. So when you're buying a new home, it breaks down into a few categories. First, you can buy land and build on it. Next, you can buy a semi-custom home from a big builder. This is what most people think about when they're buying a new home. They're choosing from a tract style home, and they choose a tract model, and then they design and semi-customize the home. Another option is what the builders call QMI homes. That's quick move-in homes. That means for whatever reason, these are pre-built and ready to sell. Sometimes you might hear them talk about these as model homes or spec homes. And finally, the last category is going with a custom builder, but that's mucho bucks and probably not in your discussion if you're comparing a resale starter home to a new starter home. So I'll start with the option of buying a plot of land and building on it. Now, the reason I'm going to talk about this is absolutely not because I'm an expert in it. It's because doing this podcast where I'm trying to lift up the little guy and trying to help make sure that our middle class and people just trying to get a starter home still have an opportunity to buy a home, people are looking for options. So a lot of people are reaching out asking me, hey, this is crazy, dude. I can't afford anything here. Can I just buy some land over there and build a house on it? Well, here's how it works. First of all, one of the things I'm never going to do is use this microphone to talk out of my butt about things that I don't know. And selling real estate in Orange County, California for 20 years where everything's built, that means I've never done this because there ain't no land here for anyone to do that. But I do know several unicorns that have experience with this type of build. And this is what they tell me. Buying land and building on it, it's not a hack to avoid the hassles or the unaffordability or the expense of buying a traditional home. Buying land and building a home is nothing like the regular first-time home buying experience. So if you're just trying to do a rent replacement strategy, this isn't a strategy, this is a project. It takes intense planning and a full team of hired professionals, including an architect, civil engineer, a construction manager, an interior designer, a general contractor to oversee all the zoning laws, building codes, etc., etc., etc. And then you have to find and purchase the right land to do it. So yeah, it's a lot. So that's all I know about that. Moving on to the next subject. Now, this next category I could talk about for months because I've been doing this one for 20 years, coaching people all over the country for the last 6 years. The category that most people think about when they're saying, hey, I'm a first-time home buyer, should I get a new build or a resale? That's a home built in a new track being built by one of the big home builders. Here's how it works. Developers come in, they figure out what they're going to do. They say, this is where we're going to do it. And then they build a few models for you to look at. And then you go, you look at the models, and then you get to put your upgrades in and semi-customize the home. You can't change the layout of the structure. Sometimes there's little changes you can do with the layout, but most of the time you're just doing, all of the fixtures, the flooring, the lighting, all that stuff. So you're getting a track home, but you're getting it with all your tastes for everything inside the house. The process for one of these begins when the builder buys a big plot of land. They divide it up and they put billboards and signs up saying, new homes coming. They're going to set up their shop there with an office and some models that you can tour. And then they're going to release the homes in what they call phases. You can choose a model. And then if there's a plot available, you could start to semi-customize it in some, but not all ways. And speaking of those models, here's a quick tip. The pre-built homes that are right next to the office that you walk into when you're going to see what's up with this new development, those homes, the way you see them with all the upgrades they have in there, those are not the prices that you see on the billboard advertising the development. The advertised price, that big cheap price you see up on the highway, that is a basic home with 0 upgrades. So if the signs say new development starting at $400,000, the model they're going to walk you through to say, oh yeah, this is the 3-bedroom starting at $400,000. The one they're walking you through costs $500,000 to $550,000. This is a classic bait and switch. Now, before I keep going, you look at my notes, I want you to realize you're going to notice a theme as I discuss the new home builders and the new home developers. They're shady. Now, like many shady businesses, if you know how the game works and how they're being shady, you can outmaneuver them and then get yourself a good deal. But always got to remember, they're the pros at this. So let's take all the information we've got. I want to try to help you guys level up, get you, to their playing field. And it's real simple. All I'm going to do is share the secrets, tell you what they do. So I know I'm going to sound like I'm ragging on them, but for some of you, a new build could be your best play for you, depending on the market conditions in your area, or of course, based on your own individual custom personal goals. What are you trying to do with the home purchase? Maybe this is good for you and you just got to learn how to work through all the shady stuff. So if that's you, take the steps and then hire a badass bulldog unicorn realtor. They're going to help you negotiate on your behalf. And done correctly, for some of you, navigating through this shady tactics of the builder, they can still be the right purchase for you. I'll talk more about that later. Back to the bait and switch. The models they show you on the tour that are $100,000 to $150,000 more than the billboard and the website prices, they always have the most expensive upgrades. So no, you're not going to get the quartz countertops and the chef's kitchen and the top-notch flooring or the solar package. The deal is when you're going in, you have to understand the advertised prices are so basic that most of the time they don't even include any grass in the backyard. Seriously, just dirt. So that is a really big tip when you start doing your comparisons. Don't compare the sold resale home prices. When you're looking at like, oh, that neighborhood, let's see. Well, homes are going there for $485 because you're looking at all the sold prices on Zillow. Well, you can't compare that with the list prices that you see on the billboard or the website for the new homes. And then since we're talking about it, in this new home versus resale comparison, it actually highlights probably the biggest mistake that I see first-time homebuyers do when it comes to the value and the pricing. There's a giant price comparison lesson in this little comparison debate. Way too often, people just compare things with only the focus on the purchase price. So here's the tip. Get out of that mindset immediately. The price that you pay ends up being just one of dozens of factors that really create the full financial commitment to a home. It's so much more than just the sticker price. This is a really big tip, so let me repeat that for you. Every home comparison in both new, resale, or resale against resale, or new against new, what you pay is so much more than the actual price that you negotiate. The money that you're going to pay, that includes multiple different things. Things like the conditions of the home and any repairs you have to make, the loan options you can get on that particular home, the fees associated with that particular home, and the programs available on the different kinds of property, because you could get different types of loans for different types of properties. We're also going to be looking at, are there any upgrades included or excluded? When it comes to new home, you're going to be looking at the builder, giving you incentives or credits. But you know what? That also happens with regular resale home sellers. You could be asking them for sellers and credits. So the price is just one number. There's so much more. So forget comparing prices only. This will definitely help you in resale versus new build, but this will also help you in buying no matter if you stick to one category. So I will say it again. Forget comparing prices only. You have to build your own financial spreadsheet for each home with more than the price. And I can't tell you how to build it because you have to score things based on your values. Now, the price is going to be there and that's pretty easy. That makes sense. But it's going to be just one of your factors. And then when you're done with that and you've done all the different things that make up the financial layout of the home, then you have to build another spreadsheet and layer it on top of that one. And that one includes all the emotional factors as well. That's first-time homebuyer coaching side note of the day. So back to the new builds. One other aspect to consider is the timing of when you can move in. Those QMI homes, the quick move-ins I talked about, or the spec or the model homes, they're move-in ready. If you're looking specifically at just those, the timing comparison, it's pretty similar with a resale home. But the deal is the majority of most new build homes, they're built on a much different timing schedule. It works like this. The builders release the phase and the home lot. They're saying, hey, okay, this land's ready to go. So if you walk in and you pick a lot, and then they say, okay, do you want to secure that one? Then you pay a deposit. And then you have to work with them to design it. And then they have to build it. That takes time, months. Usually it takes from 3 to 7 months. That's what most of the surveys have shown over the last 5 to 10 years. And that's for the starter home. Obviously, doing a bigger home takes longer than that. But it is not uncommon for even a starter home to take nearly a year for if, or should I say, when the inevitable extension and delays in construction happen. Because they happen due to weather, vendor delays, or waiting for logistics like permits or the occupy clearance approvals to happen. You got construction and red tape, and that means good luck hitting your deadline. So when you're doing this comparison, this is just one reason why I always recommend getting your real estate support team a full year before you're ready to buy. I know you think that sounds crazy, but so does everyone else. And I've been doing this for 6 years, and anyone who does it this way is so much happier. And you know what? I'm a little crazy, but here's how it works. If you plan all on your own, you're going to miss so many opportunities that could save you tons of money. And they can help reveal to you options that you don't even know are possible for you. Plus, when you're doing it like this, you build and solidify your trusted relationship with a team that you know is truly acting in your best interest, not a quick sale. Why would anyone agree to work with you for a year and not make a dime? Because they don't get paid until it closes. That's how you know you've got someone that's really got your back. So when you're looking at new builds, you 1000% need an advocate working on your behalf for you. Because let's face it, builders are corporations, and they, plus anybody working for them, their agents, their lenders, everybody, they only got one thing on their mind, and that be profits. Their life is a spreadsheet. Their plan is buy a big bunch of land, divide it up, sell, fleece people, make money. That's all they're trying to do. And what sucks about this is that the new build companies have found a loophole to screw you buyers and increase their bottom line, and it is nuts. What happens is the builders set up shop, they put an agent on their site, right? Someone to show you the merchandise. I mean, it's like a store clerk. There's someone there to say, hey, can I help you? Let me show you this. Cool. But get this, when you sign in to have them show you a home, because unlike a store, you have to sign something before they walk into the back and show you that pair of jeans. And online, you have to do the same thing. You have to sign up as well. Within the fine print, the details of that thing that you just signed right now, it says that you are now committed to have that person who toured you and had you sign up right there, that person who interacts with you when you're just trying to figure out what's going on and want to get a little looky-loo at something, you are committed to that person being your buyer's agent. You have given up your right to your own independent representation in any purchase you make with that company. Yes, you heard me right. They are so underhanded in their attempts to make a profit that when just a casual looky-loo drops by to check out the models and just get a peek, if you don't sign in first, bringing your own physical real estate agent with you, and I'm telling you, they will make you sign in to see anything. You're not getting past the gates. Well, then you're just a regular, unsuspecting, curious person, but now your first-time home buyer plan is completely at their mercy. You have forfeited your right to have your own realtor, your own advocate, if you want to buy there. And it's the same thing with an email sign up on their website. And yeah, if that sounds like it should be illegal, I agree. But guess what? They have the money to pay the lobbyists to rig the game. And I am not the only person to talk about how illegal this sounds, but that's how it works. And guess what? They're not done being shady. They're also going to offer deals to use these people, their particular agents who work for them. And those deals they give them are in the form of credits or incentives. And sometimes, occasionally, depending on how the market's going, it can be a better deal for you. If they're really desperate, they might be offering crazy incentives that are something that you should use, even if it means you don't have your own advocate working with you. But most of the time, the credits and incentives are half of what you could save on a home purchase if you had someone representing and negotiating on your behalf. Someone who could see through all of these shady games and knows how to negotiate a better deal for you that will be double whatever it is they're offering you to entice you. They're enticing you in to make you think you're getting a better deal by using them, but you're actually losing so much more when you don't have someone else who can see through their schemes. Now, you'd think they'd be done with their chicanery, but oh no. They're also going to offer you loan discounts in the form of lower interest rates or cash back that you can use for a mortgage interest rate buy down if you use their preferred lenders. You have to use their people. crazy thing about this is their preferred lenders, they have fiduciary relationships with the builder, or in fact, lots of times it's a mortgage company owned by the builder. So steering you to these preferred lenders means their construction company is double dipping on you to make more money. Now, again, if this sounds illegal, that's because, oh, you know what? Technically, it is. This particular one is illegal for everyone else in real estate, but thanks to the big money that they paid the lawmakers, new home builders astoundingly get away with this with no repercussions. They shouldn't, because this is a kickback. No debate, and it's illegal for the rest of us. If a regular realtor refers you to a lender, and then me, the realtor, benefits financially from that lender in any way, any kind of kickback, that's illegal. And I can lose my license. And that's true for everybody all across the board, but not for the builders. So they use this shady advantage, and it's a big enticement they try to use, showing you, get a lower rate. Rates are high. This is great. They've been doing this for the past year or two, but guess what? It hasn't been working this year. So here's what you want to do. Never, ever, ever accept a builder lender offer, even if it's got crazy incentives and an interest rate you haven't seen since 2021, without getting a second opinion, looking for hidden fees and costs. So never sign in. Don't sign up for an email, because you forfeit your right to having an advocate, and never assume that their crazy discount is so great unless you've had a double check by your team. And hey, lots of time teams will say, yep, you're right. That's incredible. I can't beat this. You've got the tools at your disposal to fight the corruption. So do it and get the best deal for you. And I told you guys, it's going to sound like I'm anti-new build. I'm totally not. I just want you guys to know the name. The builder's mindset is to build and sell their developments as quickly as possible, take the profits, and move on to the next development. So if they don't have a long list of buyers that they can coerce into using all their services for the maximum profits, because they get you to use their agents and their lender, they make more money. But if they don't have a long list of people, they're going to revert to whatever's next, so they can sell it as quickly as possible. And one of the things they know, and this is good for you to know, they recognize that serious buyers, those are the people that are represented by a quality buyer's agent. So when they see you come in on a home that they haven't had anyone sniff for a month or two, they're going to understand that's the person to work with. And they'll usually go ahead and pay your agent's fee. And sometimes they'll even throw in some of those extra incentives that were only for people that work exclusively with them. So there it is. That's your behind the curtain information. So to anyone looking to buy a home, it's always in your best interest to have a sole advocate looking out for you, your money, and your overall goals. And now, since you're not going to get taken off guard or get taken advantage of, now you're armed with all this insider information, you probably might as well consider new builds in your future home buying plans. And of course, if you are, due to those long build out times, sometimes up to a year, this is yet another great reason to interview and hire your realtor, your full real estate support team, including your lender, a year out so that you can be protected and you can get all the best options for you. Now, the playbook on how to do this, that's in episode 388 and 389. It's the ultimate guide, the playbook to buying in today's market. But for today, new versus resale education, well, the early connection that you make with someone, that means that you're going to have built a trusted relationship with a local lender. And the way things are going right now, you're going to want that because you're going to need to use them to help you compare with the builder's lender because they're giving some killer incentives right now. And you want to make sure, well, if you're listening to this in 2025 or the beginning of 2026, so you always want to have somebody double check for you. Now, in a normal flat market, they're going to still offer you some kind of incentive, but there are several loan options that a good unicorn mortgage broker can offer to you. They're going to give you programs that could be so much better than the incentives they offer you. And they're going to try to entice you with some savings up front. But when you're working with someone who has your best interest at heart, they can show you the savings over the overall life of your loan as well as that upfront savings. Homies, I got to tell you, I have seen this for decades. And I have to hand it to the builders. They are really, really good. And they really know how to make these incentives look attractive. And unless we're in an unusual market where they're really desperate, when we're in a normal appreciating market, I would say that 98% of the time, when you do the complete math and you have a team double checking what they're offering, the individual mortgage broker beats the builder mortgage plan every time. But again, the caveat, if you're listening to this in 2025 or early 26, you could catch them so desperate you can get a screaming deal. But again, you want to make sure you've got someone backing you up. We've had interviews with people who have worked with a unicorn lender for 7, 8, 9, sometimes even over a year, like months and months and months and months. But then the builder gets desperate and suddenly they offer an insane deal. Well, the cool thing about a unicorn is they'll actually say, dude, go for that. I can't beat that. That's a deal you have to take. That's how you know you're working with a mortgage advisor, not just a lender who's punching in your numbers. They tell you when to take the deal. So when it comes to the new builds, the rule is get quality representation well ahead of time. You want to make sure that you've got someone to double check everything and help you negotiate the best deals for you and look over everything to make sure the incentives are really incentives and not just things to hook you in so you can give as much money to the builder as they can get. And of course, never sign in, never, ever, ever sign in on your own. Always have your realtor with you and don't sign up for emails either. Now, there's more stuff you can do if you're comparing new build versus resale homes. A lot of people tell me, hey, I want to research the builder. Cool. You can find a lot of information online, but be careful because a lot of times you might be listening to a single random customer review. Now, I'm all about the hive mind. I'm all about listening to real people. But when it comes to housing, there's some really interesting thing I've seen over all my time in this industry. The people who seem to vent the loudest, when I do my research on them, they usually turn out to be the people who were way too unprepared to jump into trying to buy a home, or they tried to take shortcuts along the way and they got burned. A lot of times, the people who are venting the loudest about a builder or a terrible real estate transaction, it's often self-induced. So for every loud horror story that you find, there could be 100 satisfied buyers who didn't feel the need to publish anything about their thoughts online. So instead, I tell people search local business reviews, search public records, search feedback even from the Better Business Bureau. Now, of course, if it's a single development that's having a problem, maybe you will see lots of those loud people talking. If there's more than one or two, that could be a really big deal and something that maybe you want to check out. Best way to do that, grab yourself a trusted local realtor. They're the experts. They hear from everybody and they can filter through the local knowledge and the local conversations. The cool thing is they're not just talking to other clients in the area. They're also talking to other realtors and builders and getting the real inside scoop. Another tip if you're buying a new build is make sure you fully comprehend your warranties on new construction homes. A lot of people think it's new. I'm covered forever. Well, here's how it works. The coverage for your first year is actually pretty good. It's like for your siding, your doors, your trim, most of the other big stuff is covered the first year. You've got major structural defects covered for 10 years. You've got 2 full years covered usually on your HVAC, your plumbing, and your electrical. So understand exactly what's included and what's not. And the next tip for new builds is one that not a lot of people think about. Now, this next tip is one that a lot of people don't really think about when they're buying a new home. Home inspections, they're really important when you're buying a new home. They are not just for existing houses. In fact, when you're buying a new construction home, you should get 2 inspections. You want to get one before the walls are closed and one after. The reason is because it's much cheaper to fix the issues like electrical or plumbing before that drywall goes up. And once the walls are up, you can add a second inspection that you do before you get what the builder calls the final walkthrough. Now, that's the one that most people only do. They don't do an inspection before that, but you should do this for your protection and your peace of mind. I mean, it's a new home, so there really shouldn't be anything that scary about it. So make sure that your realtor, your representative has that home inspection contingency in there. Then you can do that and compare notes with the walkthrough with the builder. And obviously, this is something that if you're working with the builder's agent, they would never recommend for you to do. Make sure you stay protected. Oh, did I mention don't ever sign in without having your realtor with you? I think I said that, right? Okay, moving on. And here's a few more tips to help you figure out if a new build is right for you. Know that it is super easy to spend more than you thought you would, and you basically do it one upgrade at a time. That design center will be a killer. So make sure you go into the process knowing all your numbers, know your budget. And when you're comparing new to resale, make sure you're using the real new build numbers with all the upgrades that you want, not that number out there on the billboard. In most cases, you're also going to have to add your own lawn, and you're going to have HOA dues with part of your monthly payment. As for other specific differences between a new build and a resale in the area that you're looking, well, that information is best given to you from a professional who's active in the market in both kinds of homes. And then they can take all the information they get helping people buy new construction and resale and share with you and let you make a comparison based on your own goals. And of course, there are some things that vary that you can kind of look at on your own. We're talking about lot sizes, community amenities, community vibes, schools, walking, hiking, public transportation, restaurants, entertainment, commutes, the whole lifestyle of the area. Now, that's all going to vary from region to region. So in many cases, it's really up to the individual buyer as to what they deem important in their home and their community. And all these factors can be totally different from neighborhood to neighborhood, which is why having an experienced unicorn agent who knows the inventory, they can provide priceless insights to you from one neighborhood to the next. All right, let me break this down for you. Two different perspectives, no opinions, just kind of the facts about these two perspectives. They're really important. The emotional perspective and the math perspective. On the emotional side, a resale home usually comes in a more established neighborhood, maybe even with decades of neighborhood traditions. But certainly it's going to have an established vibe that has been created over the years. And sometimes resale homes, because obviously they were built first in the community, they're much nearer to the center of everything, right in the established part of town, which can a lot of times be better walkability, or it could mean short commutes for all the little errands you need to run. And also with a resale home, a neighborhood vibe is a lot easier to check because all you got to do is drive through the neighborhood on a Saturday night. Whereas with a new build, it's kind of tough to tell anything about your neighbors when they're just plots of dirt. Now, on the new build side of emotionality, a word I think I just made up, you're going to get peace of mind knowing that most of these big ticket items are going to be covered for 10 years, at least the structural stuff. And most of them are going to last for at least that good amount of time. So you're not going to have to fork out big repairs for quite a while. You know, you got to figure out the kind of person you are. If you really love shiny and new, or if you really hate projects and renovations, like if you think DIY stands for deluxe is yummy, then you know what? A new home might spike a lot more of a dopamine rush for you than a rehab resale project. And with the new homes, there are some builders trying to create some different emotional vibes. They're trying to create more suburban/urban parts of their developments. Like they're going to have built-in parks, and some of them even have parks with restaurants and shoppings and bars. Some of them are trying to appeal to younger buyers with no kids or younger buyers with kids because of their little parks. So the community development itself, that might be worth looking at to see if that's a vibe for you. Now, on the math side, if you're truly looking for the best home with the least chance of major repairs, then of course, new builds are the way to go. Especially if you and your realtor have gone over the warranties on the home, done the inspections, making sure you're getting the max of what you paid for. And I know a lot of times people hate on the HOAs, but if you put them into your full financial spectrum, a lot of times that means you're getting a sparkling neighborhood, possible cool amenities, a pool, a gym, a community room. You never know. And depending on your complex, the HOA sometimes might even cover the exterior of your home or like some of your front yard landscaping. Now, on the opposite side, let's do some of the math for a resale home. One fact that really gets missed a lot is when people are looking at a home that's 30, 50, 80, or 100 years old, they forget that that home, it's probably had a renovation or 2 or 4. The number one use of equity in a home is people drawing money out of their home, either in the form of a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, or a refinance, and then they upgrade their home. If someone's living there for that long, they're going to upgrade it into a modern luxury home. And if they do, now that means that's smack dab in the middle of an established community. Some of my buyers have come into the best deals on a resale home. Because what happens is someone has been there for 25 years, they pull all the money out, they remodel the home, and then bam, 2 months later, they get a job transfer that they just can't pass up, and they move across the country. Well, now, not only are you getting a home that just got remodeled, but you're getting a home that just got remodeled to perfection because someone's not flipping it, they were doing it for themselves. So make sure you don't look at a resale home as just, oh, I'm going to have to repair everything until you've done all your research. And that kind of leads into the other big tip on how to do the math for a resale home. It's the 5 big ticket items. You're looking at the roof, the foundation, the plumbing, the electrical, and the HVAC or the HVAC. A lot of times they're not all going to be new, but what happens if a bunch of them have recently been updated? What if 4 out of the 5 of the big ticket items are less than 10 years old? All you need is a new HVAC unit, and you can get a brand new system for $8,000. Well, that changes the whole equation for looking at that home, comparing it to other homes and maybe even new homes. There's a lot more that goes into that, but obviously you can see the emotion and the math on the new build. It can be a little simpler, a little more linear, more easy to compute. But if you just put a little bit of research in, sometimes a resale home that needs a little work might be a better value for you. And who knows, maybe it's just a better value for you emotionally or mathematically. That all depends on your goals. So unless you are 100% sold on a new home, I always tell people, look at resale, and who knows, maybe you will and go, nope, I sure never want to live here. Bam, you're back to a new home. But the idea is if you've looked at all your options, you can rest easy, stress-free, knowing, you know what? I did my due diligence. Again, bear in mind, for some of you, maybe you don't have to do a lot of looking at other homes because a new build is precisely what you need. So use this episode to enter into that buying process armed with the right stuff to kick back those shady people. Oh, that doesn't make sense. You don't want to kick back because they're doing kickbacks. This is confusing. JT, what do I do? Edit. And maybe you don't need to look at a lot of homes. Maybe for some of you, a new build is precisely what you're meant to be in. So cool. Use all the tips and the tricks that I told you about here so you can fight back from those shady builders. I really wish it was as easy to compare as apples to apples. It is totally not. It's apples to kiwi, to mangoes and pomegranate and dragon fruit and rhubarb. And the only way to know what's right for you is if you're trying to do that comparison, I don't know, you have to know your appetite and your allergies, which is a really bad metaphor for do your research. For most of you, the answer isn't one absolutely over the other. The answer is do your research, get a unicorn pro to advise you along the way, and get the real information. You want to know more about how this works? Cool. You can start by re-listening to this episode again or any other episode anytime for free. The podcast library. And you know what? If you're enjoying this library, please help protect our little guy middle-class revolution by dropping me a quick review. If you write a review, it so helps others to find us so they can get the advice they desperately need too. And as always, I'm here to answer questions for you. You can ask me directly. Go to howtobuyahome.com and just ask. If you're ready to get your own pro team, you can also go to that same site and ask for a unicorn. I hope this information has helped you. This is a big question that a lot of people have asked me for 20 years now. That's everything I know about it. And unfortunately, I don't have a distinct answer. This is better than that. Get a team, do your research. Happy home hunting. Get planning. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuy.com to get started.